to keep. Eyes like daggers cut the dark. Blazing trails ignite the spark. We're the thunder in the storm, breaking free from narrow norm. Tin Hat Thursday, light the flame. Sparks ignite, don't play the game. Rip it open, break the mold. Truth is fire, truth is gold.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Truth is fire, truth is gold.
Good evening, Tin Hat Nation. It is Thursday, March 12th, 2026. Pull your chair a little closer to the fire tonight, folks, because we're about to wander down one of the most controversial rabbit holes on the planet. Or maybe I should say, on the plane. Now, before anyone starts throwing globes or frisbees at the radio, let me be clear about one thing. I'm not here tonight telling you the Earth is flat, and I'm not here tonight telling you it's a spinning ball flying through space at thousands of miles an hour. Truth is, Red, I don't really know. But I do know one thing. Governments have lied to us about a lot of things over the years.
Boy, you got that right, Screech. You know, history is filled with moments where the official story doesn't quite match reality. From secret experiments to classified programs, we've learned that sometimes the truth takes a little while to come out. Hence the term conspiracy theory. So tonight we're asking a simple question. What if? What if the people who believe the Earth is flat aren't just crazy internet trolls? And what if the people who believe we live on a spinning globe have never really questioned it?
Tonight we're opening the lines and putting it to you. Convince us. If you believe we live on a globe spinning through the cosmos, we want to hear your evidence. If you believe the Earth is flat, surrounded by an ice wall, or that there's something beyond the Antarctica that nobody is allowed to see, we want to hear from you too. Because tonight on Tin Hat Thursday, we're not here to mock anyone. We're here to explore the mystery.
You know, and the best part is, you don't have to just sit there listening. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can jump right into the conversation. Hop on over to riponrabbithole.com and join us inside the VIP Backstage Lounge. That's where the microphones are open, the questions get interesting, and sometimes theories get a little wild.
So grab your tin hat, tighten the strap, and settle in. Because tonight we're asking a question that humans have been debating for centuries. Are we standing on a spinning ball flying through space? Or are we living something very different than we've ever been told?
You know, Tin Hat Nation, it's time to find out what you think.
I'm Screech Owl Scott.
And I'm Red Owl, and this is Tin Hat Thursday.
The rabbit hole is open. It's open, Red.
Yes, it is, and there's plenty of seats, both in the backstage, on YouTube, and on Rumble.
And Red, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm on the fence on this one. We just started learning about this one.
Yeah.
Not long ago. I mean, we've heard about it for a long time. But we've seen some things that are making us go,
You took the words out of my mouth.
Could it be?
You know, I don't know much about it yet, but what I've learned so far, I lean one way, but I'm still not 100% convinced.
See, and
So I need
I'm
to
completely on the
get
fence.
more information.
Yeah, we need information, and we're hopeful that our YouTube crowd and our Rumble group and the folks in the backstage can bring it to us and convince us one way or the other. Either we're on this spinning globe and somehow avoiding being dizzy, or we're on this big pancake
Well,
floating around.
let's see. YSICJMLB on YouTube says, but it is flat.
It is flat. So I'm hopeful that, and those are too many numbers and letters for me to remember, Red, but I'm hoping that they can.
Well, technically, I know who it is, so it's Mary.
Okay, well,
So,
I'm hoping that Mary can bring the evidence to really convince me that we're living on a pancake.
well, Tommy and Heather in the backstage say, I'm on a white ice wall. I was going to say white wall. Oh,
And
my
and,
goodness.
and we did pull some information that we're going to talk about, and we're going to open it up, folks. If you're in the back, now primarily if you're in the backstage, we're going to open the mics if you have something you want to say.
If you raise your hand.
If you raise your hand, if you're on Rumble or YouTube and you have something you want to say, I'm going to ask you to jump on over to the riponrabbithole.com, and you can see scrolling along the bottom of the screen tonight, it tells you right where to come if you have something that you want to say. We're going to watch the chat, and hopefully you can all educate Red and I, because we're just not sure. And we have pulled some information that we've learned over time about the flat Earth believers, and Red's making noise here,
Sorry.
distracting me. The flat Earth thing isn't really new, Red.
No.
I mean, it's not. I mean, how we know it, it's new, but this goes back a long time. Ancient civilizations thought that we lived on a flat Earth, and
Well, Mary on Rumble says, Flat Earth Dave is an awesome source of info. He's the one that convinced me. So I definitely will have to look at that one. Look up that one.
and if she's got any additional information that can really help us. And Red, you can't laugh without telling me what you're laughing at.
Well, you're talking. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm not sure what Keeter is getting at, but I thought that was a flying jet or jet flying over. That was last night. He thought we were watching Top Gun. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to look at the chat on YouTube to see if anybody else has chimed in yet, and I have not seen anything new yet. But
Biz Wolfer says greetings, and hopefully has some input here. But going back to many early cultures believed the Earth was flat.
And AJ's telling us to put our tin hats on.
They're on tight, AJ, because I'm not sure what to believe here.
When I first started looking into it, which wasn't long ago, somebody had referenced the movie Truman Show, and we all know that movies and TV will tell you things right flat out. Well, okay, no pun intended. Sorry. That this is actually true. It's not just a fictional type movie. And that the Truman Show was a great example of flat Earth. And I'm like, oh, I don't get it. And I never really watched that movie all the way through. So when I did watch it, they made it appear, if I got the gist of what these people were saying at the end of the movie, and if you haven't watched it, turn off your speakers for a second because I don't want to spoil the ending. But at the end of the movie, Jim Carrey walks up like a couple steps on this, what appears to be an ice wall, and opens a door and steps through. So that makes me think that there's something beyond the ice wall. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. And let's jump into the ice wall later. But first, we have to talk about. I mean, I want to set some tone, Red, for uh, when this happened, and it really going back to about 500 BC. There were Greek thinkers who really established that the Earth was spherical. So we're talking thousands of years ago, and 2,000 years ago, we're talking. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce the
I
Greek
couldn't
name,
pronounce
but
the Greek names
there
either.
was this one of the thinkers who actually had calculated the Earth's circumference when he talked about the Earth being round, and dispelling the earlier civilizations who thought that because everything looked flat, it was flat. And that's really where the round spherical beginnings began.
Well, and I know what I looked up earlier. Uh, they say that the North Pole actually sits in the center of a flat Earth. So I'm trying to picture that. And I will say, maybe I'm gonna jump ahead. I don't know. Um, I used to be a travel agent back in the 90s before people started, booking their own travel. And I often wondered, why in the world would anybody want to, like, I booked a trip for somebody that lived in Arizona, and they were going over to New Zealand. And I'm like, well, thinking, why wouldn't you want to go to Hawaii from Arizona and then over to New Zealand? But instead, they only had um, routes from Arizona to New York to, and sometimes it would be like Germany or New England, Germany, or like there was a couple in France. Either way, it doesn't
So
matter.
Europe.
Yeah, Europe. And then you would have a layover there, and then you would go from there on to New Zealand. And I'm thinking, gosh, that takes up half your vacation. Why would you want to ever do that? Why not go the other way? Well, now from what we're learning, there is no other way.
Well, see, I've seen some flat Earth theories that where they're talking about flight patterns, and we're
Hmm.
probably getting ahead of ourselves here. But let's talk about
Well,
flight
I'm
patterns.
just thinking of my
I've
experience.
seen some where there was either a medical emergency on a flight or there was a problem with the aircraft,
Hmm. I
and
remember that one.
using a spherical globe, flights from say Australia were stopping in uh, Alaska. That was their first, you know,
Emergency landing
area.
area. Yeah.
And people, and looking at the globe, you wonder why would they stop in Arizona when they could stop in Northern California or one of the islands out in the Pacific. And when you overlay it on a flat Earth map, it was a straight shot through
And then it made
Alaska,
sense.
and it made sense why they were stopping in
Right.
Anchorage.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of the videos that I have watched make sense, but at the same time, you know, how do I want to put it? Well, obviously we've all learned that gravity is what pulls us down, and that's what holds us, you know, upright, unless, you stumble and fall. Um, but that's a different story. Uh, it makes me wonder, if gravity is what's holding us down, then, well, I suppose that doesn't make sense either. I'm not explaining
Well,
myself right.
now you've completely
I
lost
know
me.
I completely lost you. I'm sorry. Like birds, for example, but then birds fly, so that's why I said it's a bad example. Why wouldn't the gravity pull it down? Is what I was going to get at. But that's a bad example.
Yeah, I'm not sure where gravity's coming in here, Red, other than maybe the water you're talking about. Because when I and this is my problem because I've seen some videos and we're gonna look for some help here from our Rumble audience and our YouTube audience.
Yeah, because obviously I'm struggling trying to explain what I have seen, and then I don't know. We've
So
learned that we're on a globe, so that's obviously what we believe.
so when I think of water, and that was one of the videos that I saw read that really confuses me, is on a spherical globe that they claim we live on. And we all know that water seeks out its point of level. And I'm trying to, in my head, as I begin to question this, as I watch some of these videos, why, as the globe spins, why doesn't the water roll off the edge?
Right.
Okay, now I'm told that gravity pulls the water to the center of the earth, and that's what holds it there.
But then why do we float in
But
the water? No, I'm asking. Don't look at me crazy. See, maybe my tin hat's not tight enough.
You better strap it on a little tighter, Red. But my point is, why does the water not flow down to the bottom of the globe as it spins?
Oh, I see
If
what
we're
you're
on a
getting at.
spinning
Okay.
globe,
Yep.
rather than staying on the side. And those are some of the theories that the flat earthers have, is that the water would run off, and the traditional globe thinking people tell me that it's gravity that pulls the water toward the center of the earth, and that's what holds it there as the earth spins at thousands of miles an hour without making us dizzy. I think what happened, Red, we were talking about another, I don't remember what brought it up, but I said, if I were able to levitate, if I were able to just float
Mm-hmm.
off the face of the earth, if the earth is spinning at,
Or one of those drone type little toy things that you
well,
get nowadays.
whatever,
Yeah.
if I could just levitate and get off the surface of the earth, if the earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, would I not end up in a different location? If I were to levitate for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
would I then not travel, or would the earth move beneath
enough.
me,
Yeah.
that I would end up in Minnesota?
Or yeah, not
Or
quite.
wherever.
But yeah.
Well, 1,000 miles an hour, that's fast.
Yeah, that's true. But why doesn't it feel like that when we're just standing here?
Well, they claim that it's because it's a constant speed. And if the speed were to change, then that's when you would feel something,
Right.
is the theory.
Mr. and Mrs. Sorry. I know it's Tammy, sorry. Says, why do toilets flush backwards in Australia? And actually, I talked to a lady down in Australia, and they do not flush backwards. They flush the same way as ours do in North America. So that's a
Is that so? That's a myth.
That's a
and
myth.
So you verified that through your friend in
Yep. It goes
Australia.
clockwise.
Interesting. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, Biz Woofer on YouTube says much of what we call conscious science is simply an agreed upon narrative, especially as it pertains to the astronomical / globe model. And Mary on YouTube says, Flat Earth Dave has pilot friends who also can vouch that the Earth is flat. You know, come to think of it, we've been in a plane before, and I personally like the window seat. When I look out the window and see the horizon, why am I not seeing it like bend? Why is it completely flat the whole time?
Well, and it's
Other than the mountains.
It's interesting that you should say that, because I read an article to basically try and get that question answered, and what it said was, according to the spherical Earth people, is that you have to be at elevations like 60,000 to 100,000 feet, because the Earth, as they claim, is so large that you have to be at that altitude before you begin to see the curvature of the Earth.
But that doesn't make sense, because how can they calculate the curvature then?
Well, and that's the other thing, and Red, we're already at the halfway point where our music is just about ready to start here, so we're going to jump
That
into
quick? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we've been well, no, maybe well, I'm not sure what's going on here, but the music is going to start, so we're just going to take our break because I don't want to screw up our timeline. But when we come back, we're going to talk about that curvature of the Earth and those calculations, and based on the curvature, why are we not seeing things disappear over that curve?
Be right back.
We'll do that on the flip side. Just days before the historic March 20th, 1854 meeting at Ripon's Little White Schoolhouse, Wisconsin was rocked by a shocking confrontation that brought the evil of slavery straight into the heart of the so-called Free State. An escaped slave named Joshua Glover was captured. A federal law demanded his return to bondage, and the people of Wisconsin had to decide. Would they comply or would they resist? This Friday, AJ the Ripon Rabbit uncovers the powerful connection between the Joshua Glover rescue and the anti-slavery fire that led to the famous meeting in Ripon, Wisconsin. Before there was a movement, there was a man. Before there was a party, there was a crisis of conscience. Before the Little White Schoolhouse became historic, freedom itself was being tested. Don't miss this powerful episode as we explore the human story, the political tension, and the moral courage that helped shape one of the most important moments in American history. This Friday at 8 p.m. Central, Ripon Rabbit Hole Live. And Red, as we talk about AJ's show tomorrow night, we also have the Freedom Flame coming up.
Yes, we do.
A week from tomorrow.
Yep, on March 20th.
We will be gathering in Ripon. If you can't be there in person,
make sure you're there virtually. And you go to the freedomflame.com and add your spark.
And add your spark to the map. We're hoping to reach our goal. So we need everybody to go to thefreedomflame.com.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
And ignite their spark. And really, the freedom, that's what this is all about.
Exactly. And, you know, if you value your freedom, these shows are so important because we're able to talk about basically whatever we want.
Last night we spent an hour and a half talking about Harry Waite, a hero in Wisconsin looking to fix elections. Tonight we're talking about flat Earth. And we're able to do that because we
of
have
our
the
freedoms. And you know, I'm gonna say, like I said last night, be there virtually if you can't be there on the ground on March 20th in Ripon, Wisconsin, to help us light the freedom flame and celebrate our freedom, and then carry that torch or the freedom, the flame, down to Ripon, or not Ripon, Racine, sorry, on March 23rd and 24th, because that's when Harry Waite's trial begins, is on the 23rd. And we need to keep that freedom going, and we need to show them we value our freedoms. And what Harry's going to court for, should he lose by chance, which I pray he does not, he has a strong case in my opinion, we will lose more of our freedoms. And our elections are the most valued freedom that we have.
It's the cornerstone of our constitutional republic.
Correct.
If we don't fix it, we're in trouble. And we're going to light our freedom flames outside the courthouse on both days.
Yes.
When the trial ends. So join us there, but join us March 20th in Ripon, and tune in tomorrow night for Ripon Rabbit Hole Live with AJ the Ripon Rabbit.
And where he talks about Joshua Glover. And don't forget, Sundays, 10:30 in the backstage only is Two or More Gathering. It is amazing, and we are on Proverbs, and we've been learning so much through Proverbs. So I guess that's all I gotta say for now.
Yeah, join us on Sunday mornings, Red, because it's a great way to start the day. It's great fellowship and worship with others, and we dive into the word.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm losing my train of thought. I've got too many distractions running around here.
All right, let's return to the second half of the show, Red.
Yes.
So we do have some comments as we jump in. I'm going to jump right in because, and I have to apologize for the early break because when I set up the timeline tonight, I had it in the wrong spot. So we're just going to go a little longer in the second half tonight.
That's no problem.
We have a comment on YouTube and it says, if the Earth was a globe, we wouldn't be able to zoom in with a camera and see a boat that has vanished below the horizon. If the world was flat, why can't we go to the edge? And I agree. Why can't we go to the edge? And I think it's because I think it was 1947 or 1957 when they signed the treaty. Like every country in the world, and surprisingly, it's the only thing that I've ever known every country to agree on.
Exactly, of all
that
things.
Antarctica would be off limits to people.
And I can attest to the off limits part. Not only as a former travel agent, but I know somebody personally that waited 3 years to take a cruise. And I don't remember exactly where he went because I didn't book that one. But basically, the cruise ended up in Antarctica. And you had to stay on the guided tour if you even thought about going off that. You would be shot.
Well, they will definitely stop you.
And he ended up having to wait 3 years because the year prior to him going, the ship went off course going to Antarctica, and they didn't go back on track, so there was a missile that shot it down and sank the boat.
Really?
Yeah.
And those are things you don't hear about. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but I want to speak to the curvature that we were just talking about because I've seen some different figures, but I'll just use one of them that I found. One of them says that in a 10-mile distance, there is a 66-foot drop in the curvature of the Earth, which means that if something 65 feet tall were 10 miles away, we shouldn't be able to see it in theory because of the curvature of the Earth. If it drops if it drops 66 feet
66,
in 10 miles,
I thought you said 64. My apologies.
We shouldn't be able to see it. And we live on Lake Michigan, Red, and I'm not, it's hard to judge like how far something is out there.
Yep, on the lake. Yep.
But we'll sit on shore and we'll look with our naked eyes and we can see a boat with our naked eyes.
And it doesn't look like it's hardly there.
But you don't know how much, you can't really tell how much of the boat you're seeing.
Right.
But when you look at it through the binoculars and you're bringing that boat much closer, you can see the entire hull. It doesn't, you see the entire boat is what I'm getting at.
Right.
So whatever that distance is, and we might be seeing 5 miles out, maybe it's only 3 miles out, but there should still be some curvature where you should begin to lose sight of some of the lower portion of that vessel.
On that comment on YouTube, I forgot to, why can't we go to the edge? We can't go to the edge because of the firmament. And that's mentioned several times in the Bible.
On some flat earth maps, the firmament goes to...
There's a firmament, period.
Okay, but on some... Hear me out, Red.
Whether it's round or flat.
On some of the flat earth maps that I've seen, though, Red, Antarctica is not encompassing the entire flat earth. It's like the inner circle. Are you listening to me, Red?
Yes, I'm listening to you. And I'm also reading comments, too.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is there are some people in the flat earth community who believe that Antarctica encircles the continents as we know them. And beyond the wall, but inside the firmament, there are other continents that we're not even aware of.
Exactly. And I think that's why you have to get, hang on. Who said it here? Oh, Mary did. You have to get special clearance to go to Antarctica, and you can only go so far. And that's correct. And I think that's why, is they don't want you to know that that's a wall on a flat earth, and there's stuff beyond that wall. In other words...
Potentially. Some people believe there is.
I'm just saying that's probably why you have to get the special clearance.
There's either something beyond the wall, or there's the firmament. By what most flat earthers think.
And that's allegedly more continents. You know, somebody had sent me a flat Earth map. I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, and I'm thinking, what the heck is all this stuff? And on that particular map that he sent me, it did have little continents on the other, or pieces of land, I guess you could say, on the other side of the what they call the ice wall. And that was before I started even thinking about flat Earth.
And
So
you know,
I didn't know. I thought maybe he was just like
and,
pulling my leg.
and I'm gonna try and load one of those images, Red. I don't know if I. You know what? See, my boss called me this afternoon and had me working on the system a little bit, and there's one image that I forgot to load, and it was one of the flat Earth maps.
Oh, figures. Um, dope. What? Let's see. Dopazine, I think is how you do his name. On YouTube says some flat Earth maps have several other worlds beyond Antarctica. So yeah,
And so this
that's
is
the map
this
that I
is
had
one of the
seen.
things, and this is what really piques my interest, and it's why that I wish that someone could really verify for me that this is flat, because I grew up like everybody else learning that we lived on this globe,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when I saw one of the maps read, and I read about it, guess what one of the names of one of the continents was beyond the wall?
I remember you telling me.
I think you remember. And
Hmm.
the reason that it piqued my interest was because,
The reason why it stood out.
yes, because and Red, I'll let you, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated,
Mm-hmm.
and Kash Patel was talking about his death.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Kash Patel say at that press conference?
See you in Valhalla.
He said, "See you in Valhalla, my friend," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like many people, I had never heard of Valhalla.
Yep. And I,
Didn't
you
know
know,
what
there
it
were
meant.
several people starting to search Valhalla.
Didn't know what it meant, and I
And I
know
did.
you claim that you saw some things about New Zealand and,
Yep.
and whatever, that there's a resort or a
Yep.
hotel or something.
And there is, but
But I also learned as I've been diving into this, because I want to know. I want to know in the worst way. And maybe we're never going to know. Maybe we're not going to know until the day that we pass, Red, and we ascend to heaven. Maybe that's the first time we're going to know. But I would love to know, because I saw a map where some of the flat Earth community, and it's maybe a smaller percentage that believe that there are continents beyond the ice wall.
mm-hmm.
But they've named, or somebody named, one of the continents on the other side of that ice wall as Valhalla. And
Yep.
I've read stories that
That's
some people
probably the
believe
only reason why it stood out.
that some of these continents beyond the ice wall are just like living in paradise. It's beautiful, tropical,
Mm-hmm.
uh, peaceful locations. And when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and Kash Patel made that statement, clearly it made, when I
Made
saw
both of us
this, then I went, oh, maybe Charlie Kirk is in Valhalla.
Exactly. You know, and when I started looking up Valhalla, it was talking about like Rob in the backstage says, Viking. It's a Viking term for basically heroes, warriors. And you know, I was like, okay, I guess I understand that term, but then I started seeing people, and this is what got me onto like looking at flat Earth. Is some people were putting out there about the, well, they put out there the New Zealand one, and then I seen a couple videos talking about beyond the ice wall. I'm like, okay, what is it then? And when you looked at that flat Earth map and seen some of the names of those masses of land beyond the ice wall, you noticed Valhalla. And I'm like, seriously? And I looked at him like, oh my gosh. We didn't recognize any of the other names, but I just
And
how many times do you have to have a coincidence happen before it's mathematically impossible? You know?
well, and this is where I struggle, Red, because I grew up, but I also grew up believing that we landed on the moon.
Yeah,
And I don't.
that's a different night because that
Well,
one we've dug into.
I realize it's a different night, but I mean, there are so many things that I've been lied to my entire life. I remember sitting on my living room floor with my grandfather watching the first moon landing when I was 8 years old, and how
Yeah, I wasn't
captivating.
even born yet.
I know you weren't, but
Sorry.
again, it's a matter of we've been told things our entire life that aren't true, or that I don't believe are true anymore. So why would I believe that it's not possible that we live on a flat Earth?
Exactly.
The curvature thing throws me off because and Rob put out a different number, and whether I'm right or wrong on the number, Rob very well could be right on the number of feet that you lose in X number of miles in distance. It doesn't matter if you're on a globe, whatever that number is.
Either way.
Because I've seen it where someone is on the east shore of Lake Michigan, somewhere in the state of Michigan, north of Chicago, and they're like 60 miles away from Chicago. And through a high-powered telescope, they're able to see the skyline of Chicago, but not just the skyline of Chicago. They're not seeing the curvature where they're missing lower parts of those skyscrapers.
They're seeing the whole building.
They're seeing the entire building, and that if we indeed live, unless it's much larger than what they're telling us, the curvature should be indicated in what you're seeing.
There was something else I was going to say about that, but
you're too busy mocking me, Red. That
yeah, I am, because you're talking with your hands tonight. It had something to do with the moon. Oh, I know what it was. Why is it that when you see rockets go up, they always curve? And I've seen a video, and it's really hard to see in the videos, but it curves because of the firmament. It has no further place to go, so then it curves and comes back down.
Well, if they're indeed shooting rockets and they know there's a firmament that they can't get through, they would have to set the trajectory so that they're not hitting the firmament.
But they
Right.
are.
They are hitting the firmament?
And it's curving. Yeah, and that's what's making it curve to come back down. I thought I showed you that video a while ago. But if you think about it, I'm sorry, but well, no, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I believe in the Bible, and I believe what's written in the Bible. And the Bible specifically says we live in a firmament, and in Revelations, it also states that there will be 4 angels that come down on the 4 corners of the earth. And I always think about that, thinking, how can you get a corner off of a globe like what they show us, in schools? You cannot get a corner on a round ball. So, to me, that makes me lean more towards the...
Can you get 4 corners on a pancake, though? Because someone use the same argument, right?
Probably. But at least you'd be able to see each other. And I have seen a flat earth where it's square. So whether it's a pancake or where it's square, I don't know. But I do know that we were in the store the other day, and knowing this topic was coming up this week, there was a globe sitting on the shelf for sale, and you spun it, and nice and loud you say, "I can't believe people still believe this crap." And I'm like, oh gosh.
Well, at the time, Red, I was hoping that someone would come over
and say something
and help me find the answers, because I'm starving to know whether or not we live on a sphere or a globe shaped earth, or if we live on the pancake. I want to know. And I've heard plenty of arguments both ways. And I'm really hopeful that anyone can really, one of the first tests, and I forget the waterway now. It's in Europe somewhere, where it's a 6-mile canal, and it's perfectly straight. And someone put a scientist, and I forgot his name now, put a stick on one end of this 6 mile, and then went on the other end with a telescope.
Okay.
And he was able to see the entire stick at 6 miles. And at 6 miles, and it was only like it was a short stick with curvature. Again, that stick should have disappeared in that 6 mile period.
Correct.
Or 6 mile distance, and it didn't. Now, maybe somebody can help me to understand atmospheric. Oh boy, what were all the words that I read about? Atmospheric refractory, and what do you have there, Red? A comment?
No.
Oh.
There is a comment on YouTube. Is this the curvature thing visual that you were trying to explain?
Yes. So, and that's what I'm getting at with lighthouses. And basically the graphic that I have here, folks, and it's using some geometric or algebra that I'm not even going to try and describe. But how far away can a lighthouse be seen? And based on the curvature of the Earth, based on the figures that are provided to us on what the circumference of the Earth is, ships should not be able to see lighthouses at, I'm not sure what the distance is.
You didn't pass algebra?
No, I did pass algebra, but they're not giving me the answer on this map. But again, it comes down to curvature, and somebody's chiming in about the moon landing.
Yep. And here's that experiment that you were talking about with the stick. And I will say, Wetzel, yes, the Bible was written by man, but it was also God speaking to man to write it.
So what I need everybody to do is put 100 in the chats of whatever platform you're watching. If you believe we live on a flat Earth, I want to know what the consensus of this group is tonight.
Yes, and if you think that we live on a globe, put a 50 in the chat.
So we're gonna sit here and watch and see what happens if anybody responds. Red.
Here we got Tommy and Heather with 100 in the backstage. Keeter is at 75, so he's still iffy.
So Keeter's iffy. See, and I'm with Keeter on this one. I need some definitive proof, and I don't know that I can ever get it.
Tammy says 50.
So Tammy says we live, and Corey's a 50. Corey does not believe in the flat Earth theory. So,
and Ripon Rob says flat like Tic Tacs on an ironing board. And let's see who. Oh, I can't get too far away. AJ the Ripon Rabbit is 100 on YouTube. Let's see. Mary is 100 on YouTube. So, I mean, there's more people that believe that it's flat than.
So aside from the curvature that I can't explain and the things that people haven't been able to just because I don't understand atmospheric. Whoa! Just about pulled my head off.
Corey says that she didn't say that she don't believe. I'm just not convinced and was hoping that we could convince her tonight.
Well, Corey, you're barking up the wrong tree because unless we get some help, we are so new to this that I'm not sure that other than I can raise some of the very same questions that I have. And my questions really stem from not even Antarctica, because I need to know if we have a flat Earth, I will definitely believe in the ice wall.
Definitely.
There's a reason.
The firmament part still gets me as well, though. If you're on a globe, how does that work? When I type in,
it would have to be around the entire.
Yeah.
We would have to be living in a bubble, basically, like that surrounds the entire.
But when you type in firmament, in a search, a Google search or whatnot, it'll show you actually flat Earth. So that's, it makes me question.
I am leaning that way, Red. Uh, when I was growing up, I remember I would go somewhere and my mom would say, whether it was, we were in a Dad and I would be in an elevated area somewhere on vacation, and my mom would say, "Don't go so close to the edge." And I thought my mom was always talking about she didn't want me to fall off the edge of the, you know, when we were in the park or off a ride or something. And I think I think my mom was smarter than most people gave her credit for. And I
Probably.
think she didn't want me too close to the edge of the earth falling off. And I think that's why she was saying, "Don't go so close to the edge."
Um, let's see here. Antarctica is a whole nother show, AJ says. That's very true. Um, dope, Dope Noise says that 88. So he's a little bit more than the 75. Let's see, Mary.
But I can be good friends with him because, or her. I don't know if it's a him or a he or a she, but
yeah.
He also doesn't believe that there was a moon landing, so we're completely on board together on that one.
Let's see.
What else do we have coming in there, Red?
Mary, I'm telling you, you all have to watch Flat Earth Dave. He's such a good teacher. He actually has a website with people who believe in it. Nick and Connect. Oh, and then she said, I don't know where Nick came from. It's the phone changing the words on you. And Dope says he's a he.
Okay, so I agree with.
I apologize. We didn't.
I agree with
names don't always.
I agree with Dope that there was not a moon landing. So
yes,
we can be 88% together on the flat Earth theory because I'm not entirely convinced we live on a flat Earth. I was hoping now that I know, what did Mary call? Who was it?
Flat Earth Dave.
So I see. This is what we have to do, Red. We have to get in touch with Flat Earth Dave.
Yes.
And have him come on the show, and he will
educate us.
He will spin Corey's head.
Well,
and turn her into a flat earther.
There was something else that I just got distracted. Corey B says definitely not did not land on the moon. So I was just going to bring up the moon. Something that just came across my news feed a couple days ago is NASCAR. Oh my goodness. NASA decided they will not be going back to the moon in 2027. And I'm like, back to the moon? How about go to the moon in the first place? You can't, because I don't even think there is an actual physical moon. From what I've learned with the flat Earth, it's rain droplet type, and it's a reflection of the Earth off the firmament. I'm not good at describing things, you know this. So it's probably not even an actual physical.
I haven't seen that one. I've seen that we have moons and that there are things in the sky between the firmament and what we know as Earth.
See, and I know it above firmament.
But if the moon is where it is, where they claim it is, we can't get through the Van Allen radiation belts safely. So I know we haven't been to the moon.
Yeah, because if you did, you'd burn up. But like Ripon Rob says, we lost the technology. But that's for a different show.
That's a different show, and we will talk about that one at some point. I wish I had talked to Mary before today. Maybe we could have gotten a hold of Flat Earth Dave.
We could have asked her yesterday. She was with us yesterday.
I know that. I didn't know that she knew Flat Earth Dave.
And we didn't know we were going to talk about Flat Earth until today. Or last night, I mean. Dope says, I lean more towards, simulation theory. And AJ says that this is a great introduction to Flat Earth. That's true. We'll have to do more digging, and hopefully somebody else will come in on the next show and be able to educate us a lot more.
And I did find there are some little small experiments that we can do
Okay.
with little or no expense. There's the sunset delay experiment. You watch the sunset from ground level, and you quickly go higher, like climbing a hill or going up in a building, standing on a ladder, and what happens then is you can often see the sunset again briefly. Uh, the globe explanation is that at higher elevation you can see farther over the Earth's curve. The flat Earth explanation is that the sun is simply moving further away, not going below the curve, but moving away. There's several little home experiments we can do.
I know you came home one day and you were trying to do something with a balloon and water.
And I should have used a ball. That was my water theory when I was struggling with what keeps the water.
Well, it was some video that you had watched and you were going to experiment for yourself. Because I know you always, like the do not try this at home, you always come home and try it.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
You don't?
No, I don't remember what I was going to try.
That was about a year ago. And I couldn't understand what you were trying to do. See if the water would stick to the balloon? But the balloon doesn't have gravity.
It wouldn't stick to the balloon.
Right. But you know, speaking of gravity, if we're on a flat Earth, gravity sounds more logical to me then, because where else are you going to go? We don't have something pulling us to stay on the ground. We're already on the ground. It's flat. You're not going to float away.
Why?
Because it's flat. Whereas the ball,
But if you don't have gravity, you're still going to float off the surface, Red.
No. Why would you?
Well, that's what holds you to the surface. I mean, that's what they tell us what gravity is when Isaac Newton figured out gravity when he dropped.
Are you going to say the apple or ball or whatever?
Right.
Let's see. What's this? I lean more towards the simulation theory, Dope says.
And
I already said that, Dope.
Yeah, ask him if he can tell us what the simulation theory is.
Oh, and Mary says that she doesn't know Flat Earth, Dave. She just watches this show. And Dope says NASA can't show us a single photo of the Earth without making a composite from several photos. If they went to the moon, they could have easily taken photos from the spaceship. That's true. And you know, speaking of which, and I was saying this earlier, you ever watch the rocket or the NASA shooting up a rocket, and it'll get so far, and you'll see like the bottom of the rocket as it's going up. It'll get up so far, and all of a sudden you can see that blatant switch, and that's when they put on that lens to make it look like it's a curved Earth. Have you ever noticed that?
I have. I was Googling something here, Red, and then the music kicked in. We're out of time. We're gonna get Flat Earth Dave on here. We're gonna work with Mary to find out if we can get in touch with Flat Earth Dave, and he can come on and school me, and maybe he can really convince me.
And if we can't get him on, maybe we can
get Mary on.
Well, we can get some of his clips from his videos and put it on here, and see if he can convince anybody else.
Probably can. He can do a better job than I can, because I've got like this stack of papers in front of me going, all right, it's a flat Earth just like this piece of paper.
Exactly.
But anyway, Red, the music started, so we're going to get out of here because it's Thursday night, and I'm going to be shoveling snow for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
Or 3 days.
Exactly. And we knew the snow was coming, so we decided to go out to eat quick. And the lady at the restaurant actually brought up weather manipulation. And I'm like, man, we just talked about that not long ago on the show. And then we explained it more to her. And she rolled, what was it, like 6 different conspiracy theories that we've dug into, all rolled into one. It was like, wow.
Very informed young lady. And,
yes.
And I will tell you, so this was a Mexican restaurant, a very nice young Hispanic girl. I
Yep.
shouldn't say young. She was probably your age.
Oh,
Because
no, she was definitely younger than me.
she had adult children who were making decisions about
Yeah.
not having babies. So
Yeah, that's true.
she had children who had this fear of having babies
Yep.
because of the state of the world we're living in, and not wanting to bring children into this world.
Right. Anyway, tomorrow night, AJ the Ripon Rabbit is back with another episode of Ripon Rabbit Live, and he's going to be talking about Joshua Glover.
So you're gonna
And the
want to
Freedom
you're
Flame.
gonna want to come back for that one.
Very important.
That will be AJ's last show before the Freedom Flame.
Until he's on the ground in Ripon for his first lighting of the Freedom Flame in person.
Yes, and so that'll be exciting. I hope that you can all make it live to freedom,
We got freedom on the mind.
to Ripon,
Ripon,
Wisconsin,
yep.
for the lighting of the Freedom Flame. If you can't, please join us virtually.
And you can add your spark to thefreedomflame.com, and you can sign up for either virtual or in person. So if you can't make it to Ripon, join us in person, virtually. Sorry. And then don't forget, on Sundays at 10:30 in the morning in the backstage only is 2 or more gathering, and we're in the Proverbs. And I mean, we come back and we learn so much.
We do. Good fellowship and good way to start the Sunday.
And you could join us in the backstage lounge at meet.riponrabbithole.com. See you in the backstage
And
after the show.
And there will be plenty of people back there for most of the night. Have a good night, folks. Stay safe and don't get too close to the edge.
I agree.